Right now you can, yeah.
Wittenberg is a place, and while the names may change, the stories, personalities, and experiences do not. What are Hud and I doing here? Good question.
It's a big question.
Being on the other side of our Wittenberg student experience, we now know that there is no one right path. The mission of our time together each show is to help you, our audience, know that there are many different paths to purpose, to experience, to success. Your path to Wittenberg was different. Your path after Wittenberg, as ours is, will be different too. On our journey together, we are passing the light from the stories and experiences our fellow alumni are sharing with us. Now, our guest tonight. Wittenberg women's basketball head coach Melissa Kolbe and men's basketball head coach Matt Croci.
Yes.
These two followed completely different paths to become head coach at their alma mater. Kolbe had no idea what she wanted to major in while at Witt. In fact, she changed her major 5 times.
5 times.
5 times. Mm-hmm. That's a thing. On the other hand, Croci knew he wanted to be an English major while here at Witt. Both had no idea what they wanted to do after they graduated. Let us dive a little bit deeper into their experiences. In 1995, when she visited Wittenberg campus shortly before she graduated high school, Melissa Kolbe had no interest in coming to Wittenberg. Then she met with Coach Pam Evans-Smith, a Wittenberg Hall of Fame legend, on a campus visit arranged by her dad. Coach Evans-Smith, a lovingly fierce presence, sat and talked with Melissa about where she saw Kolbe thriving both at Witt and in Coach Evans' basketball program. After that conversation, Melissa fell in love. Upon graduation in 1999 as a psychology major, Melissa had no idea what she wanted to do, let alone had any aspirations of becoming a college coach on any level. However, leaning on the lessons that Coach Evans taught her and the problem-solving skills she learned here at Witt, she eventually set her sights on being a D1 assistant basketball coach. Even while she was navigating her D1 coaching career, she had no desire to be a head coach on any level. Crafting a path from scratch, Kolbe's path to coaching, culminating in assisting at University of Cincinnati, a Division I college, with visibility to be the head coach there, yet she chose Witt, a D3 school. Why? We'll find out more together.
We're going to find out. All right. My man, Matt Croci. He's got that dog in him, as the young boys say. 94 English major graduate. He never thought his playing years would turn into coaching years. So a winning basketball program brought Matt to Wittenberg and helped shape Croci into the person he has become. Arguably, this is an argument. It's happened before. He won't say anything about it. One, if not the best player in Wittenberg basketball history. I saw it with my own eyes. The term sneaky athletic did not apply to Croci. This guy was an athletic beast. So with that being said, Croci's path was different from Kolbe's. So going from being the assistant with his good friend Damon Goodwin at Capital, who also coached at Wittenberg, to becoming the head coach at Kenyon, to now coming back upon Bill Brown's retirement as the head coach, now back at his alma mater.
So just to set the stage, there are a few key facts we wanted to make sure to get out there. Both of our guests came back to Wittenberg, a D3 school, because Wittenberg athletics recruits to win championships, and that is unusual to an extreme. 50% of Wittenberg students are student athletes.
Wait, is that 5 out of 10?
That's 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Good. Okay.
So half of all Wittenberg is involved in an athletic endeavor, which I found fascinating. D1 is an unbalanced experience both on the player and the coach side. And college athletics are changing. From NIL, where players can get paid but may ride the bench, and the transfer portal affecting all levels of the college athletic experience. It's a dynamic situation out there right now.
All right. I like that. I like what you said. So a lot of people think coaching is just that, just barking at players, running plays, X's and O's. But their responsibilities are greater than that, from admissions to recruiting, running summer camps, being a mental health coach of sorts, helping find jobs and internships during and after their Wittenberg experiences for their student athletes, to helping Wittenberg fundraise. Many aspects to student development lie in their coaching position. So it's not just coaching on the court. Coaching is just obviously a small part of the job. So we're going to, as Tim says, we're going to dive a little deeper into not only your roles, but your paths before Wittenberg and after.
So I think you have an opening question, Hud. Is that correct?
All right, so we're gonna just put this all to rest. So this is something I find hilarious. I cannot sit here and call these two Matt and Melissa, so I refuse to from here out. And so we would like to know, for everyone out there, I don't know, I've never heard anyone call Croci Matt nor Kolbe Melissa. So how many people in your lives right now actually call you by your first names?
2 for me. Mom and wife when I'm in trouble.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's it.
I would say probably 3. So my parents and my brother.
Okay.
Yep.
Right on. All right, so that's out the window. So
So everybody else, D1, D3, coaching, students, everybody either calls you coach or your last name.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Wow.
all right. It's incredible. I don't know how that feels. So go ahead.
So what I want to understand is, I mean, we got some flavors of what brought you to Witt, but can you both kind of dive in a little bit deeper about like what attracted you to Witt? What happened? What was the thing that brought you here?
Do you want to take this first since you're the vet?
Sure. I'm the vet. That just means old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we were both recruited, right, to come and be student athletes here. So that's where the door opens, and you go through the process like any other kid that's a senior in high school, start looking at schools and things like that. For me, basketball was going to be a big part of my decision, right? I love to played since I was little. Got an opportunity to come down here, had an older high school teammate that was already here, so that kind of created a little bit of a comfort zone for me.
Same school? Like you both went to high school?
Yeah, he was 2 years older than me in high school, so I kind of followed him through high school. Then he was here. I remember on my visit, which wasn't a long one, came down with mom and dad in the spring of my senior year and did the whole dog and pony show all around campus. And my older high school teammate who was here was taking me around, took me back to it was North Hall at the time, now Firestein, and was trying to show me a dorm room, and we couldn't get into his dorm room because 2 of his roommates were in the process of pledging, and if they had opened the door, they were going to get egged and bum rushed and all this crazy stuff, so they literally would not open the door, so I was not able to see a dorm room on my visit.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was hilarious, right? And this banter back and forth and through the door and all this, and that was the end of a really fun day of just meeting some guys who would become teammates and lifelong friends, had a lot of common goals, a lot of the same priorities and things like that. So I kind of knew within about a 4 or 5 hour period that this was kind of where I wanted to be. So,
but I'm curious, like, why did that moment, that back and forth between the doors, hey, you're not allowed in, I can't see a dorm. Like, some people would be like, oh, that's the weirdest thing I've ever. It attracted. Like, there was a reason. What was why?
Well, just there was a little genuine brotherhood there. The banter was hilarious. I thought it was really funny. They could care less that there was a recruit that needed to see the dorm.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh, and I'm like, these guys obviously get along. They're good teammates. It's just kind of I had those same exact relationships with my high school teammates. So to me, it was another, okay, hey, this is going to be hopefully pretty similar. Same type of guys, same type of environment.
Yeah.
So I had already enjoyed the day leading up to that. So that was just really kind of made me laugh. And kind of was like, okay, these are good guys. I can see them as teammates.
Checked a box for you.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Absolutely.
Colby.
So similar to Matt, I came down spring of my senior year. Very different experience because I wasn't quite the player he was, so I didn't get the whole dog and pony show. But, came with my dad down to Witt, and it was one of those typical April days in Springfield, very rainy, not the best atmosphere. And, we're driving in, and I'm just kind of like, I don't want to be here.
Grumpy.
Grumpy, I was a very grumpy 18-year-old. And I'm sure I was
Me
like
too.
A whole handful.
No, me too.
Yeah. And, as we're driving in, I'm like, I don't even know why we came down here. I'm not coming here. I'm from Cleveland, so my dad's like, we just drove 3 hours. We are going on this visit. We are going to meet with Coach Evans. I'm like, all right. So
some expletives in there somewhere.
I'm sure there were. Yes. Yeah, he was not very happy. So, we get to campus, and, of course, typical Pam. She's running around. She's at the lacrosse game, wearing 15 hats, being Miss Wittenberg. And so we find her, and we go up to her office, and once her and I started talking, that was it. Just because of who she was as a person, what she represented, how much she loved this university, loved this program, it changed the way I looked at everything. And I didn't see one dorm room. I didn't see one academic building. I don't even think we went in the gym, to be honest. We went straight up to her.
Oh, wow. You didn't see
the
gym?
field
Okay.
because she was running around at the lacrosse game, and then we went up to her office, and that was it.
So
And I knew it.
Mauer Field in her office.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. And, we just talked about Wittenberg and, like you said, my role in the program and where I would fit at Witt and just her experiences here and how much she loved this place. And it, that decision and that moment of the connection I had with her and wanting to play for her obviously has, set the stage for everything else to follow in my life, which is kind of crazy to think that one small moment, 1 hour meeting has kind of determined everything else.
And literally the rest of campus melted away. Didn't even matter.
Nope.
You could have been in a crappy dorm room with a cot. You didn't even care.
Yep. So
you're like, okay, I'm in.
So and I actually tell this story when we walk recruits around campus. So I never did the full campus tour. I didn't learn all of the things. So one of the things that I did not learn was the seal. And how you're not supposed to step on the seal. So I probably about half of my first semester, my freshman year, I think I stepped on it until my teammates were like, what are you doing? So I blame my first semester grades on that, the fact that I didn't do the whole tour. But
I should start using that then.
Yeah, it's great. Great excuse.
That's great. So you guys, you're here on campus, right? Mm-hmm. Freshman year can be a crazy year for a lot of people. And as you're recruiting folks, talk about how that freshman year experience, not only, your first open gyms, because it's a different level of athleticism, different level of competition, but socially, how did both of you adapt to being away from home? A lot of people for the first time, for an extended period of time, and talk about that transition and what the programs, did to help either ease it or make it. Was it more nervousness at your freshman year? Because under Coach Hipsher, who actually recruited me, I don't know if you knew that, very intense. Coach Evans, very intense. So that first year for you, Croci, how was that adjustment?
I mean, I think I went through all the normal emotions of homesickness and am I fitting in? Am I going to be good enough on the court? And a lot of that. Which is still, our guys go through it. I'm sure her women go through it, whether it's just our teams or normal, right, non-athletic, non-athlete kids. I shouldn't say non-athletic.
Right.
That's not fair. But everybody goes through it. 18 years old, away from home for the first time. I mean, where am I going? What is this place they call Ressi? Right? Where do I get my hair cut? When I had hair.
Do you miss that?
No.
Okay.
It's a lot easier. Yeah. So I went through all that, but I for me, that brotherhood and the guys on the team created an instant kind of support network. Again, I had that older high school teammate who was already here. If I was struggling with anything, if I needed advice, guidance, if I didn't feel I could go to my coaches, these guys, we had 15 freshman basketball players in my class. So we were kind of bonded together and figuring this kind of thing out out together because the upperclassmen were trying to keep us at
Oh,
arm's
yeah.
length.
Yeah.
All these new young pups.
You
who
did
wanna
that a little
play
bit too. You did that a little bit my freshman year too.
We were taught how to do that.
Yes.
And we reciprocated very well.
But that's important. It sets the standard. We talk about culture, and you're coming in, and I remember that first open gym, the freshmen aren't getting on the court. You know what I mean? Because you guys are running the show. But it shows you that you have to, one, the expectation is hard work, putting in your time. So, Kolbe, when you're a freshman?
Very similar to Matt. I think that the standard and just the culture of the program, in open gyms and lifting together. And, Pam didn't necessarily do a ton of things with us early on, but just the culture is set with the upperclassmen to involve us in things. And, one thing I really remember is all of the orientation things that we did, getting to meet so many different people. Obviously, when you come in and play basketball or any sport, you have a built-in family a little bit, right?
Yeah.
People
Right off the jump.
Absolutely, like a friend base and people that are going through the same thing you're going through and those shared experiences. But, I still talk to some of the people that I met in orientation, some of the people that I lived with in Hanley Hall. They were on my floor. The amount of time and effort that's put into making sure that every student is able to meet people across campus. I think that's unlike any other institution. One of my transfers and I were actually talking about that the other day because she went through the orientation I guess it was last week, and she was like, why do we have to do all this stuff? And I'm like, well, because we have to meet other people. If you're just bonded to basketball, then Wittenberg and your experience at Wittenberg is very small. When you meet people across campus in different majors and different sports and different, that have different focuses at Witt, then your experience is just, it grows exponentially. And I think that's part of why I didn't have a ton of homesickness. I did the first time I got sick, really, really sick. I missed my mom, But other than that, I feel like I was just so ingrained in this environment and taken care of on so many different levels that it made that transition really smooth.
But when you got sick, did your support group pick you up and just the people you had met?
I was a big baby. And we were in practice, too, so it was one of those,
God.
You're halfway through the semester, you're mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted. And
you're like, I don't even want to see these people.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just want to lay in the bed. But, I had to go to practice, so practice I went.
Yeah, can I ask both of you about your high school basketball programs, how successful they were, and how that, I know my high school and Toledo St. John's, yours, very historic, successful high schools. So, Kolbe, I don't know about your, how was your team? Did you guys advance far in the tournament? Wittenberg, obviously high standards, in both programs. So how did that prepare you?
It did. We made it, we were ranked in the top 10, I think, my last 2 years. Lost my senior year in the regional finals to a team that was, I think, ranked first in the country.
Oh, wow.
Trinity back in the day.
Okay.
It was a big program. And I had teammates that went on to play Division I, Division II. We actually had the NCAC Player of the Year that was in my class.
Oh, wow.
So I was the fifth best starter probably.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I fully understood, knowing your role, doing your job, coming in, being a part of the culture, and, having a higher standard and wanting to win.
Yeah. So your team, you had two guys go D1, and you were fringe D1?
Three. I
three.
Think three of
Okay.
our five starters.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Luke Reagan, who
Luke,
was
Dr. Luke. I've told you about Luke Reagan.
You told me.
Teammate in high school, and my roommate here, and teammate for 4 years.
Great guy.
Yeah, we had a.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the bring it up and pass it and get everybody else involved because that was my role there, which was great. I just wanted to be part of a good team and win. And our high school coach, he won over 700 games, which is insane considering back in the day you only played 20 high school games before the tournament started. So he's fifth or sixth all time in the state and wins. So I think that really shaped me when I was looking at schools, which is one of the reasons why I love this place, because it was about winning, and I didn't mind if I had to wait a couple of years to get on the court. I had to do that in high school. So to me, I just wanted to be part of a really good program, and if I had to work my way up and earn everything, so be it. That was okay.
That's great. And what's funny, you were known as a shooter. You got a lot of shots up, so that was completely different from your high school experience. So
Well,
I didn't know that. I knew your team was really good. You had Kolbe and some other folks on there, but that's great. Wittenberg gets a lot of like the third or fourth or even the fifth best players on good teams, and that's why I always thought that Wittenberg I always thought we were at a talent advantage going into games. Like your senior year, that team was loaded. I mean, you had people at that time who were considered D1 players. So we'll go into a little player development. I don't want to get too deep into.
We got to pause.
We got to pause
for a second
for station identification. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So Hud, I don't know if y'all and you two either. I always dreamed of the amazing internship, like summer internships. I'm always trying to figure it out in a city that I was curious about that might be in my field of study, or just something I thought I might find interesting while also getting some credit at Wittenberg to do so. Now, with Wittenberg's connections, curriculum, and experiential learning being a box to check before graduation, internships, study away, engagement with the world off campus has never been more important. Have you ever wondered, where do I start to figure out a summer internship, or how do I find a job on campus? Handshake is here to help. Access internships, work-study jobs, or career events on campus. Go to www.app.handshake.com, choose Wittenberg University, and get access to thousands of jobs and internships across the nation, in Springfield, and right here on campus.
Thousands. A lot of dots in that. You see that? Dot. That's great. All right, so moving on. So you guys leave Wittenberg, right? You graduate. So Kolbe.
Wait, before we do that,
okay.
I want to find out what the favorite hangout spot was while you were on campus.
You go first. I have to go first?
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot different. It's a lot different these days, right?
I didn't ask about these days. I asked about those days.
Well, the places I hung out when I was here are no longer around.
Did you have the Bird? You had the Bird, right?
I would also.
The Bird was around.
That was a great freshman bar. I mean, should we say that? That was a great freshman bar.
Ringside Cafe.
Yes.
Larry Humphrey Band would play every Wednesday night.
Savoy. Did you have
The
Savoy?
Savoy Lounge was right across the street, among others.
Yeah.
That I heard about.
That you heard about, right.
But the Bird was just going away as I was coming onto campus. So
there was an incident, but we won't talk about that.
No, I know.
That's the first time
the Bird
I had
was
a
going away.
slow gin fizz. I didn't know what that was. It was sweet. It was great.
You ordered that at the Bird?
That's what people did. That's what people did.
That must have been after I left.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. If you know what slow gin is, that's just liquid sugar. So, Kolbe, you don't want to comment on your favorite hangout spots?
I mean, I'm just going to second everything.
You're going to defer?
Say that, too.
We can edit anything out.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it's live streaming, so you can't edit the live stream.
Not in real time.
Not anymore.
Not in real time.
Yeah. So you were diving in, though, into, like, what happened after you left, all that kind of stuff. So
let's back up. So let's give all props to the person that chose Croci to be his wife, fellow Cincinnatian. So Patrice. So first of all, you guys were together at Witt. She chose you. Let's be clear about that. Not to take anything away from you, but so you guys leave, right? So you graduate. So where do you go? Because obviously, different path. Kolbe went right into coaching.
Did you go right into coaching?
Did you?
Me?
Kolbe,
Yeah.
did you go right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a graduate assistant.
I did my research.
I know. I needed
Google
the verbal
that.
verification.
Google that, Playboy. So you guys leave, and of course your wife has this amazing corporate career. So what were you? What happened? I don't mean what happened in that way. So you leave. You guys go where?
Well, first of all, if I was a year older, so she.
Oh, okay.
She was still here finishing up.
Yeah.
Damon Goodwin, who you mentioned, who was, he and Coach Hipsher are, obviously responsible for me being here. Damon's one of my closest friends, a mentor. The spring that I graduated, he got hired at Capitol.
Okay.
and started his head coaching career. He is still there. Has had an amazing career, all-time, winning as coach at Capital.
Who was the better player between you and Goodwin?
He was. I mean, he almost made the NBA.
What,
He was
Phoenix Suns?
One of the last cuts of the Phoenix Suns.
Beast.
Yeah.
Great guy. Every time I see him in Columbus, he always makes time to talk to me.
Terrific.
Great guy. Yeah.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do. He was looking for help on his staff and convinced me, hey, why don't you come over and check it out? Patrice was still here finishing her, undergraduate studies. And so I did it and loved it, got the bug and felt like I could share things that I went through and teach and help kids, learn some stuff. And it would allow me to stay involved in basketball. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So, and she's, been very supportive. We've moved a couple of times for me.
Yeah.
We've moved for her, and it's been a great partnership and would not be where I am today in life or in career without her being by my side.
Little foreshadowing. She's going to be on this stage.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We're working on that. But go ahead.
Before we do that,
Yes.
I would have thrown some stuff out there before.
Yeah.
I want to dispute things that may
That
be
it's
said,
going to come up. Yeah.
if I can.
how does that conversation go between you and her? Like, hey, we're doing this, or hey, I want to do that, or how do those things get brought up in a relationships that's strong and tight, and how do you work through those things, especially when there's differing desires and kind of personalities, and hey, we want to go in this, I want to do this, no, I want to do that. Talk me through that.
Well, one thing I learned a long time ago is she's always right. So I that has led me in a lot of great directions. We were friends for a couple of years when we were students here before we ever started dating. She only knows me involved in basketball, first as a player, then as a coach. So she didn't know any different when I was on the road recruiting or, every Wednesday and Saturday playing games and things like that. So that was normal for her, right? To make that transition from being here together as students to then me wanting to get into coaching. She got to know Damon and his wife. We're all four still really close, and so that was easy.
So that probably helps, having kind of a couple other people that are kind of going through the same.
For her to see Danielle going through the same thing at that time, their two oldest kids are young. How is this going to look? How's it going to work? I mean, the reality is it's never perfect or easy. Like all relationships go through struggles.
Coaching and otherwise,
yeah. And she has had an amazing career in her own right. And, I think we balance each other out. And, I didn't feel like I ever had a right to say my career takes precedent over yours. And so that's why I say, like, we've moved for me, we've moved for her. We've both kind of made sacrifices, and that's, it's allowed us to get to 28, almost 28 years of marriage.
Wow.
Is just figuring it out.
God bless her.
Yeah.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah. Well, you got beautiful kids out of the situation.
Absolutely.
So it works out.
Good genes from her side.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're there. I'm glad we're same on my side too. So Kolbe, you leave, you go right into coaching. Where was your first stop?
Valdosta State in Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to go to grad school. I wanted to get my master's in counseling.
Okay.
Coach Evans was like, why don't you see if you can be a graduate assistant with the basketball team? They'll pay for your school. You'll still be around the game. And
Brilliant.
So she kind of pushed me. She wrote my letters of recommendation, and then I ended up in South Georgia. So, and then after.
But it wasn't for coaching. I mean, that was kind of a part of the thing.
It was part of it. Then after my first semester in grad school and of coaching, I was like, well, every reason why I wanted to go into counseling to help people and be around and involved, I realized I could do that in coaching, obviously, and I'm still around the game, and so kind of it's just taken off from there.
And then Valdosta to...
So I was, so 2 years at Valdosta State.
Okay.
Then I was at Mercer for a year. in
Georgia?
Macon, Georgia.
Yeah, okay.
Macon, Georgia. Then I was at East
It's a
Carolina.
D1 school.
Yep.
You come on now. You gotta
D1.
You gotta own it. You were at that level.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying
So,
that.
yeah,
That's,
it was-
you act
it
like this
was-
is like normal. You having
Yeah, it was-
Mercer,
yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah. Mercer, and then East Carolina, then Eastern Kentucky, Mount St. Mary's, Western Kentucky, Cincinnati, and now Wittenberg. So moved around just a little bit.
Okay, so now we're getting into like the latter stages of what I wanted to understand, but like, how you're at D1, like the top of the top, and not only that, the way you described it to me, you were doing what you were enjoying, meaning not being the head at a D1 school.
Correct. Yes.
What the hell?
Well, I mean, Wittenberg has its pull. You know, I always said I never wanted to be a head coach, and when Brian called me when Tamika left, I still didn't want to be a head coach. But, you know, talking to him and talking about Wittenberg and how much it means to both of us, obviously, and all of the experiences we've had here and the opportunity to give back, I was very, very intrigued, you know. And then I came to campus, and Matt and Katie, our women's soccer coach, were this, I guess you were the second people I met with, maybe second
Probably.
or third meeting.
Did you know Croci prior to? Okay. Good for you.
Even
Good
though,
for you.
but
You
you
call
were
him at
kind
a
of
good
around
time.
the same years and
Yes,
ages
yeah.
and
so
all that.
I
You
knew
just
of
didn't.
him. I just
okay.
we had never met. And, you know, so I think we're talking for about 30 minutes. And about halfway through our conversation, you know, we start talking about recruiting, and I'm asking Croci questions about, well, how does it work at this level? Because, you know, obviously I went to Wittenberg. I know what it's like to take out student loans and to figure out your financial aid package and, you know, the sacrifices you have to make to go where you want and to do what you want. But for the last 20 years, I've been at the Division I level where we're just like, here you go, there's your full scholarship, everything's taken care of, here's your cost of attendance, here's how much money you get every month,
done.
Boom, boom, great. So I'm like, how am I going to convince people that this is worth the investment? You know, so we're talking, and Croci said, well, we don't recruit like other Division III schools. I'm like,
Just
okay.
offhanded like that.
That was it. Yeah,
You
he was just like,
we
we
don't-
don't. He said we recruit against NAI schools and D2 schools because we recruit to win a national championship. And that was it. Very similar to when I talked to Pam, and then just talking to her, that was it. And that changed. I have always loved Wittenberg, but that changed my whole perspective on coming back here and being the head coach. Because the opportunity to, like, we talk about national championships. You walk in the HWA, boom, that's what you see. You walk in the steamer, that's what you see. It's a different.
Can I get both of you to go on record right now in front of the millions of people live streaming this out there? When are we going to get those national championships? Again,
We're working on it.
We're working on it. What, 2 years from now? Or can we get some 3 years from now? It's happening, right? In our lifetimes.
That's the plan.
I'm a firm believer. My heart was broken my freshman year because we should have had that title. Anyway, so
Well, we were 2 weeks away from winning it in 2020.
up 15 with.
I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah,
3
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks away from winning the thing, and COVID hits and shuts the tournament down, and
You lose all steam. And
nobody will ever convince me that we were not going to win.
I forgot about
the next few games. So that team that we had 3 years ago reminded me so much of your freshman year and my senior year. The characters on it, the kind of teammates, the talent level,
family,
the brotherhood, all that kind of stuff. So blame COVID for us not getting that a couple years ago, and now we're working our way back up to that level for sure.
Okay. So, if I may, I want to switch gears only because I thought it was very fascinating when you said that you didn't know Croci, and yet you were only a year apart, and you both played basketball here at Witt. When you look at the numbers of students that are here, oftentimes people would look at that and say, oh, well, everybody knows everybody. But you just said you didn't know who each other were. I think that's a fascinating thing that, like, you were in each other's worlds to such a degree, and yet you didn't know each other. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is that we just didn't overlap,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm sure looking back, when, you know, if I came back to watch a game or to visit campus, I'm sure we probably crossed paths and just don't remember it, right? Because I'm getting old and I don't remember half the stuff that happened 30 years ago. But I'm sure that happened. But, you know, we have a connection with
Yeah.
you. I mean, you're a perfect example of you overlap with both of us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys like that. A couple of your teammates are married or friends with guys that were a little bit younger than me that I know pretty well. So there is a lot of intersection there. We just, you know, we didn't really cross over.
I think the great thing, though, is, you know, from the first time we've met, there's been a connection.
Right.
You know, like,
I would
and
agree.
anytime you meet someone that went to Wittenberg, it doesn't matter if they graduated in 1962 or 2012, like, there's an instant connection and just a feeling of you know each other.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's one of the great things, that you don't necessarily have to have been in the same circles or even been on campus at the same time, but we will always be connected because of this place.
Totally.
So.
And why I was
talk-
asking,
we
go
talk
ahead.
in our program, and I'm sure they do as well on the women's side, that when you get together with the alumni, whether they're guys that are older than me or guys that are younger, the stories are basically the same,
Yeah.
right? The players, the guys, the coaches, maybe the opponents, those are different, but the stories are all essentially the same. And our offices are next door. We had a lot of the same experiences, even though we didn't cross over. So, like, it definitely helped us bond really quick because we kind of knew where each other was coming from. And, you know, so that was, you know, really cool for me. I knew she knew what she was doing and she would be great at it. And it's been a fun partnership and, you know, working together with the two programs. So
I love it. And I think it's really interesting that you were similar aged and yet didn't know each other, because I had a similar experience in that it's kind of this large, small school where you don't have to know everybody, and you can. It can be as big or small as you feel it to be here at Witt. And so I thought that was actually fascinating and really cool that you didn't know each other.
Well, for our enrollment right now, the campus itself, when you just look at its actual the fingerprint of campus, it's so much bigger than you would think it is, right? And kids, I'm sure we hear that all the time with recruits. They're blown away by how big campus is and the hills and the terrain and all that. And it's you can have your own pockets of people and interests
100%.
and activities and not be on top of the same group of people all the time, which is cool for a small school.
Yeah. So, Kolbe, you mentioned earlier not becoming too engrossed in just basketball or whatever sport you're playing. So, what do you both do to encourage your student athletes to seek out other, interests? Because it's very intense during the season. Like, you really don't have any time to do anything but dedicate to your sport. But yeah, how are you going like this? Basketball is not everything, because at that age we all think, especially high school, you come college basketball or whatever your sport, it is everything. So how are you with your players? How do you address that?
I think we get them involved in things on campus. We've had different people on campus come and speak to them, some of the different team building things that we've done, community service, and just really encouraging them to be involved in the campus community. We don't room them together their freshman year. We usually room them with a student athlete from another sport.
That's smart. Yeah.
And encourage them to go watch the other sports play or go to plays on campus or just different things. And, one thing I talk about in the recruiting process and then also when they're on campus is you need to be engrossed in the Wittenberg community.
Yeah.
This, obviously, I want you to come to Wittenberg because we're going to win a national championship, and that is our goal, right? I want you to want to come here and play for me, but if you don't fit at Wittenberg, then none of the other things matter. Because basketball is a big part of what we do, but it's not the only thing that we do. It's not the only thing I do. And when you look at how long our season is, it really is only a fraction of your time here.
Yeah.
So just, making sure that they are involved in all of the things that they can be. And anything they want to be on campus. I have some that are RAs, some that are in different clubs, some that are in sororities, and just allowing them to have those experiences while still being super competitive at the basketball piece.
And that actually segues perfectly into, so when Hud and I were on campus as students, hanging out with friends and teammates was actually easy. However, networking with alumni seemed harder, unless they came to campus for homecoming, or I accidentally bumped into them, or they showed up for an alumni game, or, I made a super huge effort and reached out and grabbed coffee or something like that off campus. Otherwise, it never happened. Eventually, until after I graduated, but I just almost started to not even bother. However, wondering how you can connect with alumni for conversations, coaching, mentoring, networking advice, or just to connect? Network Witt, powered by People Grove, makes it easy, as their whole goal is to help you navigate life's journey. Figure out your next step, find your next job, share your expertise, become a mentor. You can claim your account in less than 2 minutes and instantly connect with our community. To claim your free account and start networking with students and alumni, go to www.wittenberg.peoplegrove.com and claim your free account today.
Is that connected to AOL? Can we still get an AOL account?
You're probably still on Yahoo.
I'm still on Yahoo. Yeah. That's great. You know what, Timmy, that's great. It's like an eHarmony commercial, the way you just
That's right.
you go there, man.
That's how I
like
do it.
I'm getting emotional over here. So let's kind of turn the page to a little bit more of, as we talked a little bit briefly before, I think you mentioned when people are trying to find their way in life. And, it's that universal question that no one can quite answer. Like, what's your message to not only your players, but your message in life? Like, how do you find that thing and pursue, that thing? What's Croci's life advice? If we could,
Oh my gosh.
1 a.m. in the morning, you've had a lot of water and you're going on a rant. Your kids are there and they're like, "Oh my God, Dad!"
I'm not up at 1 in the morning.
Not me either. I'm a 9 p.m. guy.
Especially with water.
Yeah,
So,
well, what
I think
you got to stay hydrated.
Yeah, you do. Good question. We could be here for a while with that. I think college is that opportunity for kids to chase their passions and find things that are going to lead them through life, right? You got to be willing to put yourself out there. You got to have your eyes open and your ears open. People are going to want to help. You got to look for opportunities. You got to take advantage of resources, of programs, of opportunities, right? So you got to be willing to put yourself out there, try new things, meet new people, be curious and learn as much as you can. We're fortunate. And I think we have to remind ourselves, we do this every year, right? Every year we got a new group of 18-year-olds that are going through it for the first time, and their parents are going through it potentially for the first time. And so you really got to just, be patient, parent them, and, hey, keep your eyes open, listen to people, take help, put yourself out there, and when you enjoy doing something, keep going with it, right? Don't stop, and if you can get through the 4 years and get your degree and you're still involved in stuff that you enjoy and you can get paid for it, then that's fantastic, right? And sometimes it takes longer and you may switch jobs and careers and locations and all that kind of stuff, but you got to still be looking for chances to do that, I believe. So.
I find it fascinating that you use the word parenting. That's a lot of kids to parent to some degree, and I'm sure to lesser degrees and more based on interactions and their openness and whatever. But how do you parent? You're already a parent. How do you parent to that large an audience?
Well, you have to parent where they are.
Yeah.
Some kids need more, some kids need less, right? We have kids as students who need a lot more support and guidance. We need some that don't need any. We have some that can take tough coaching and some that need easier coaching, right? And so I think knowing you got to build a relationship with the kids. You got to know what they want, what their why is, why are they doing this, why are they playing, where they get their enjoyment from, and then you've got to try to lead them. The challenge is balancing program and team expectations and standards that everyone needs to go after, right? But still help each kid a little bit individually because they all need things differently at different times. So it's not easy at all, but if you really want your team to be successful and if you want that kid to get the best out of their experience, you have to meet them where they are.
Where'd you learn how to do that?
It took a long time, and I'm probably still not. I mean, I try to do my best at it, still make mistakes, right? But I think, again, if you build relationships with your kids in recruiting and you show them that you're there for them and you'll help them through and you're not going to be perfect. There's going to be days they don't like me. There's days I don't like them, right? Because we're grinding and working through stuff. Yeah. But I think if they really believe that you're in it for their best interest, they'll listen, they'll take tough coaching, and they'll kind of deal with it.
Was there a person you learned this from, or did it all just kind of, it came over time and years and just piecing it all together from many different people?
We're constantly working on ourselves as coaches and people, and my high school coach was like that. My college coach here, Dan Hipsher, Damon Goodwin, who recruited me and then I coached with for a long time, right? You pick things up along the way. We're never finished products as coaches, right? Like we have to change on the court stuff. We have to change kids are different now than when I first got into coaching. So you just have to, you want to be good at it and you really want to help them, then you have to, it's about them all the time, right? So if you just kind of keep that in mind, then you'll make less mistakes than you think.
That's awesome. Sounds very human too, because I mean, we aren't finished as people either. So it's not just coaching. I
think we probably had, which is one of the reasons why we're back. We had great experiences here. I know I'm just trying to provide the same experience for my current guys that I had. If I can get close, then I'm doing my job.
That's awesome. How about you?
I think one of the things Matt said, meet them where they are. I think that's a big thing. That's a big thing for us, me and my staff. We talk about that all the time, because everyone comes in differently, different backgrounds, different belief structures, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and so you have to, nothing can be cookie cutter. Obviously you want to treat everyone fair, but you're not going to treat everyone equal because different people are going to need different things, and they're going to need different things at different times, and that's the relationship piece, building it in the recruiting process. On some level, they have to trust us because they're choosing to make this investment in themselves, and basketball is part of that investment. Their parents and them. So it's, for us, it's very much a family thing and everyone being involved. And that's, again, just depends on the person. Some people want us more involved than other people, and I'm good with that. And you have to.
So even the parents too? Mm-hmm. And you're good with that? Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to understand too, like
it comes with it.
Recruiting at the Division I level too is just, it's such a, you have to get everyone in the circle, and so I'm used to getting. And here's the thing: like if my student athletes are going to be successful, their whole circle has to buy into this and know that this is going to work. So some parents, I'll just say hi to them after games, and they'll say good job or whatever, and and other parents will call me because there's a problem, but they have to be comfortable to know they can do that. And I don't want any one of my players to feel like they're here on an island, and I don't want their parents to feel like their child's here on an island. So that's a big part of it. And, my mom did call Pam one time because she thought I had a speeding ticket, and Pam she didn't take care of it, but I did have a speeding ticket. Thank you. But so much of what I learned came from her and how she coached me and the standards she set here. Obviously I've had some great bosses along the way that have changed how I coach, I'm sure, and, helped mold me. And then obviously, like Matt said, we're continuing to change as we need to make sure that we can best serve our students and lead our students how we need to. But the other thing for me is we talk a lot about joy, right? Like finding joy in the moments. Like every moment's not going to be great, but make the best of where you are, and us just trying to figure out how to get through all the tough stuff and the fun stuff together. And I think we did a really good job of that, and that's something that we continue to cultivate. Students that go to Wittenberg are usually pretty motivated and hard on themselves, and so trying to balance that and allow them to understand it's okay to make mistakes, whether it's in the classroom or in basketball, and it's okay, and we'll figure it out and we'll fix it, and then hopefully that mistake doesn't happen again.
So you're almost helping them take the pedal or the foot off the gas.
Some of them, yeah, some at times, and that balance of allowing them to be a student, to be a student athlete, to be a sorority sister, to be an RA, and understand that it's okay to drop the ball in one of those things sometimes, and it's okay to work really hard and sometimes fail, and just help them figure that out as we go through this.
Same question as Croci. What advice, Kolbe, would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh, goodness. Just say yes to all the stuff that you don't want to say yes to.
Oof.
Because the experiences that you can have from saying yes, even when you're scared, far outweigh the fear that you have. So it may get you in a little bit of trouble, but you'll have some other experiences that you would maybe be afraid of. So,
Croci, 20-year-old self.
Go to class a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely would not have told myself that.
You wouldn't have told yourself that?
No, I did not go to class very often.
I like what Melissa just said about saying yes to, and I mean, I mentioned that about what I think kids need to do is just, I was pretty focused on my basketball experience, knew that the rest of the stuff would take care of itself, right?
Yeah.
So I wish I would have taken advantage of some of the things that were out there, right? Different, I mean, I think at the time we were teaching Italian classes at Witt, right? There wasn't just a couple, I believe there was, and I never took it. Like things like that, like, hey, put yourself out there and try some different things when you're here and really immerse yourself in the experience. Stuff that we would want our kids to do now, things like that. So you're paying for all this stuff that's here. Take advantage of it.
Use all of it. Yeah.
So.
Last question, and it kind of segues nicely based on what you two just answered, that last question. How did both of you make the hard move away from what felt like comfort and success to then make the next move into something that's a little more uncertain? At many, you've done it several times along your careers and paths. How did you make that leap? What thing did you do? Or
I mean, you George Michael, you got to have faith.
Gotta have faith.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just
That's it.
you gotta
faith in what though? Like what?
Yourself and opportunities. When you're young, there's always going to be another opportunity, right? And so you got to take some chances and go after things and take a leap of faith when you get an opportunity, knowing that it may not work out. I mean, the reality is in competition, you're going to lose and win. So, like, I want guys that'll chance losing just to put themselves out there to play.
To have the chance of winning.
Yes, let's go compete. You're not going to win every game. So you got to take a leap of faith and put yourself out there knowing that it may not go the way you want. And the times that it doesn't, you learn from it and you learn some coping skills and how to deal with adversity, and then you figure it out and you try and do it better the next time.
How about you?
Faith. I would agree with that. And trusting your gut on some level. Some of the moves I've made maybe didn't look like they made sense professionally, but that's where I felt I needed to be at that time, and it obviously all worked out. So,
how'd you learn how to trust your gut?
Ooh.
Because that's an easy thing to say, but an even harder thing to do, right?
I feel like since I was a kid, my parents, like we would talk about, like you do your research, you figure out this, you figure out that, but at the end of the day, you have to trust your gut and go with your instincts. I feel like they raised me to be confident in who I was, who I am, and so I never really questioned that, and I never really questioned where I was or what I was going to do or kind of where I ended up. And so to them, I'm very thankful for that.
Awesome.
It's great. I would have loved to dive deeper more into basketball stuff, but that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here for.
Sorry.
I had to cut myself off a couple times. But Croci and I did a sidebar. We did have a dunk in the same game. Was that Thomas More? Was that Thomas NKU? Remember that one?
Yeah. Sounds right.
Sounds right.
Thomas
I don't know.
More.
Thomas More?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I just want to throw it out there. But go ahead.
Like a brag.
No, humble brag.
Humble brag.
That was not humble.
Were you a 2-footed jumper?
No, I was a 1-footer.
Yeah,
You were a 2-footed guy.
2-footed.
Yeah. Okay. Very athletic. Very athletic.
Sneaky athletic.
Sneaky athletic.
Sneaky
Yes.
athletic.
So go ahead.
The best part about this, and this is HUD's brainchild.
Yeah.
We, as a part of being on this show, you two have offered up to take on a mentee. We don't have that mentee yet, but our listening audience will become the mentees and that kind of stuff. We're working with the university to figure out how that all works, but you will have a mentee. And I just appreciate that you're doing this. And if you're listening to this and you want to be mentored by someone in the coaching arena, and that's something of interest to you, and all of that, hit us up. We'll figure it out with you.
Great.
All
So
right.
this is a great kickoff. Great kickoff. So coming down the pipeline in August,
Yeah.
sports marketing. So
right.
someone, business sports, someone he knows.
It's not just marketing, HUD.
No,
Come on, man.
listen, business is sports. We got some surprises. That's an exciting show coming up. So just bear with us as we go through the process. Well, we do want to give some shout outs to folks that have been helping, not only on the Wittenberg end. So we got Karen, Holly, DeRay. I'm missing someone. But Q Quatrick is handling video. It's Wittenberg grad. You can hit him up at Q_production with no S at the end. We got Zora here, who's been helping out, production assistant.
Jack.
And Jack shouts Jack. He's on vacation.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the oceans.
I don't know.
Somewhere.
He's on a plane.
He's on a plane.
Somewhere in the ocean.
So we want to thank our guests again. This is great because your time is very valuable. Very valuable. So we really appreciate both of you coming out and
thanks for helping us kick this off. Right?
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is
for
incredible.
having
Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're done.
So after
Good.
this, we would usually do a meet and greet.
Yeah,
and
we'll
all
be a
that,
meet and greet out there.
get
There's a bunch of
some-
people waiting for you guys, autographs and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So pictures.
Fan club.
Yeah.
And does anybody in the audience have a question?
Anybody got a question? No, we're good. Okay.
Okay.
We're
All
going
right,
to wrap
that's a
there.
wrap.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Boom.
All right. That was great.
All right.